Shocked. I didn't know it was her birthday. She died 2 days after she had her birthday. And I remember leaving the hospital. Here she was on the edge of death, and I was thrown by a very well-meaning and somebody who's a very effective social worker. I was thrown because when I heard, if she stays on her oxygen, she can last like this for several days. Well, she didn't last the night. And I got it plugged in my head that I would be back tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning came very early. Her son called me at 2 a.m. or texted me at 2 a.m. and luckily I'm a light sleeper. And he said, if you want to see Mom, she's going to be, you better come in now. So I got in there by about a little after 2:30 and I already had missed her. And the day before, I was there with her all day, and I was wondering, like, should I come in? I was starting to feel the exhaustion of the moment. It's intense, and I'm thinking, and then the social worker says, you know, if she doesn't go off her oxygen, she's going to be here for much, much longer. No. And it got it in my head that this moment will continue. I forgot. I was deluded. Oh. And here it happened again just a few days ago. Zuiko Redding, we got a call in Cedar Rapids Zen Center that she's not doing well. She just got put into hospice. And one of the very dear Sangha member there said she could get out of hospice. And I said, you know, I can't think like that anymore. I've been thinking like this, and it's not helpful. I understand where he was coming from. I understand where doctors and nurses and social workers are coming from when they say that. They're trying to make a sense it's going to be okay. But we lose our attention to the preciousness of what's happening right in front of us. We lose it. It dulls it. It's like a sword, or it's like a knife meant to cut. You know, you get like a dull knife cutting tomatoes. It just doesn't break the skin. That's what it is. That's what our mind's like. So we got to sharpen it. We can't allow the ideas the people that want to come for us don't always help, right? I mean, they mean well. It's okay. But we have to be better than that. And that's where our practice comes in. That's where we got to remind us, life and death are of supreme importance. Time swiftly passes and opportunity is lost. Each of us should strive to awaken. Take heed. Do not squander this life. Don't squander this moment. We don't know. This is an occurrence. I said this is the third time we're doing this. I'm assuming there will be other times, but don't assume that, right? I'm assuming this is, I'm making a mistake by assuming I've got it on my calendar. Is it going to happen? We can't assume it, right? We can't assume this space will be here tomorrow. We must assume it's going to be here tomorrow, but we can't. We can't practice like that. This is the direct experience of this moment. Right? This is flowers fall, even though we love them. Don't think about the fading of the flower. Think about the preciousness of the flower in this moment. Don't think about the arising. How did this come to be? Yeah, it's amazing how it came to be, but right now is the flower right here. And if we move to the level of nations, states, countries, even countries, I mean, it seems so obvious when we study history that the United States is a fairly young country. It's only been around 2 centuries compared to other countries that have been around 2 millennia. That's nothing. And we look at the state of countries in the Middle East, or in Africa, or in South America. These lines, it seems almost arbitrary lines are drawn around countries, and they create wars. I heard that for the creation of the country of Haiti, the Pope looked at a map of Santo Domingo and drew a line down the center, gave about 1/3 to France and 2/3 to Spain. That's how the country got formed. But countries don't last. There's no guarantee. I mean, we put so much pride. The other day during a Martin Luther King event, we put our hands over our hearts to start it and said the Pledge of Allegiance, and I was warped back to elementary school, and I was like, this doesn't feel right, but I'll do it. I'll just do this motion. It felt so strange because there's so much. I mean, it's okay to feel pride about your country, but when it leads to aggression and the sense of everything has to be the way I understand it and love it, and we can't criticize the shortcomings. I mean, we can certainly take pride in the good things of our country, but we also need to have a working feedback mechanism that our leaders can hear, and we can reform when we need to reform. And sometimes that works better than other times. And when it doesn't work, we have civil rights movements and things like that happen. Okay, so countries, they don't last. They don't stay. They will eventually dissolve. In our lifetime, it could be. Look how quickly the change happened in the Soviet Union. Overnight. Nobody expected it. What? There's no Soviet Union anymore? Remember that? In the 1980s? Yeah. In the Soviet Union? Or the Berlin Wall. Right? You know, East and West Germany now is united. Who knows how the world and the maps that we look will be in the future, the political regions. These things change.
Do you think it's just because I'm old now that it doesn't seem like it, when I was a kid, like I've just felt like will never, it'll always be this way. Now I'm like, things seem a little more teetery than they did when I was a kid, but maybe that's just the nature of the way things are right now.
Right. When we're kids, we just think that the world's always been this way. As we get older, we see, hey, you know what? That's not what time has shown. That's not what history has shown. It's different, and that's very jarring. Because on the one hand, we get educators and parents meaning well, saying, yes, it's this way, it's safe, right? It's gonna last. Just like when you at the hospital and the doctor says, oh yes, he could last another 2 months. Possibly, you don't have to worry, and then tomorrow, everything's a different story. All right? On the fourth level of all sentient beings, right? Moving up to the fourth level, even all sentient beings perish. Now we see not only do our beloved pets die, but whole species go extinct. We are witnessing whole entire species that have been around for thousands of years are going extinct. And they've been around, and then within the last maybe 200 years, just boom, one after the other species. We're in the midst of a mass extinction as we speak. And so we don't like that. We'll do what we need to do to deny that, even if we believe it, even if we believe the evidence intellectually. It's very hard to feel it, I guess, maybe let's say, to feel it with our being. Like, oh, there is some real change going on. Wow, can we see this? Can we see this flower falling, even though we love it? So the beauty all around us is just, it's fading. But we get lost in denial, right? Or thinking that it's gonna change, it's gonna reverse itself. I don't want to say it's not gonna reverse itself, but that's how we think. Oh, maybe we can do something to turn it around. I'm not saying we shouldn't try everything we can to turn things around, or to change. Right? That greed, that poison of greed is so powerful. I was listening to something, or the scientist was saying that a star will, as we know, maybe is around for not just thousands of years, but millions, if not billions of years. And it takes a lot, there's a whole, so many things happening in that star during its lifetime where it's creating various elements. It starts out all 100% hydrogen. Maybe I'm not explaining this as a scientist would, but so I'll just give you my understanding that hydrogen gets burned in the star until the star gets hot enough that it fuses these hydrogen atoms together to create helium. And then as it's burning the helium up, the gravity of the star, it compresses it more, and the temperature jumps up more, and it creates other elements like carbon and gold is created in stars. All these elements carbon is created in stars, and until it gets the last element the star creates is iron. That's because iron cannot melt. That's the last one it creates, but it has to be a certain temperature for those atoms to fuse to create iron. And then once it creates the iron, it gets so hot, and it initially implodes on itself, and if it's the right size star from the start, it will then explode into a supernova, and all of those elements that it created in the course of its life get scattered out throughout the region of that star. And so there's the kind of a pulsation of, like, there's a collapsing of the star, and then it goes out almost like a breath, right? It completely collapses down, and then it explodes, and then what happens? It gathers itself back up. A new star forms in that same area, and that's how we got our solar system, right? The elements that make us up were born from a supernova. We were in a supernova a few years ago, a few years back. So, what is interesting though is that the life of the star may be billions of years old, but the process of once it goes into supernova takes about 2 weeks, which is just it's just like a less than a fraction of a second of the entire life of the star. It happens so quickly. I want to share a joke I heard recently about this Buddhist coroner got fired from his job. Do you know why the Buddhist coroner got fired from his job?
I read this online.
He is wise.
Because he kept putting as the cause of death, birth.
Oh, right.
Right, that's where we are here. So anyways, here, the point is that we have to be careful getting caught in somebody else's idea, somebody else's delusion that things are going to last. Things are going to perdure a little bit longer. We will have a happy ending. I love happy endings, but what we really need to do is pay attention to this moment and experience 100% this flowering. Flowers fall even though we love them, right? Can we appreciate fully the flower? The weeds grow even though we dislike them. Thank you. All right, that's it.